Good afternoon and welcome to the University of San Francisco School of Nursing and Health Professions informational webinar for the Executive Leadership Doctor of Nursing Practice program. Today's presenters are Dr. Marjorie Barter, Professor Emerita and Interim Program Director for the Executive Leadership DNP program. We also have Courtnay Caufield, who is the Associate Director of Pediatrics, PICU, Congenital Cardiac ICU at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, who is a current student. And we also have Dr. Sandra Gregg, who is the Senior Director of Strategy and Integration at Providence St. Joseph Health, who is a 2015 alumni. My name is Stacy Simmons, and I am the manager of the graduate nursing programs here at the University of San Francisco. Dr. Barter? Dr. Barter, I believe your line is muted.
I was having a great deal of difficulty unmuting my line, but there, we got it. That's good. Well, thank you for attending this webinar. We appreciate your time, and we hope you learned something from the webinar. This slide presents our agenda for this session. We will talk a little bit about the University of San Francisco and the School of Nursing and Health Professions, and we will also discuss the DNP degree itself and our particular program. And then finally, we'll discuss some of the details about the program. Of course, we don't have time to get too deeply into the specifics, but we hope to give you the information you need about the program and to give you some opportunity to ask questions. The control panel over on the right is what you can use to post a question to us. Just type it in. And we'll devote the last portion of this webinar to a Q&A session. Also, we are recording this session for you so that you can view it later. Next slide, please. As you can see on this slide, the University of San Francisco has been around for a long time, and it's been a leader and innovator that whole time. We're particularly proud of our leadership programs, our graduate programs. We were the first university to offer both the DNP degree and the Clinical Nurse Leader degree, master's degree, in the state of California. Our DNP degree has three major programs. We have programs for nurse practitioners, family nurse practitioner, and mental health nurse practitioner. We have a new program for population health, and then the program that you're looking at is the Executive Leadership program. Next slide, please. When you come to USF, you will find that we are a school that takes its mission quite seriously. We prepare health professionals who have a moral compass to help transform healthcare. We really believe in social justice and helping vulnerable populations. And in the School of Nursing and in health professions, we particularly embrace a passion for the development of a just healthcare system that reaches all people. And we do work hard at incorporating these values into our courses and also into the practicum work done by our students in the Executive Leadership program. Next slide, please. So right now you're exploring the question, why choose a Doctor of Nursing practice? For many years, the PhD was the only terminal degree in nursing, and nurses, whether they wanted to practice with a clinical focus or wanted a career in education only had the PhD research doctorate, and as a result, many nurses sought a doctorate in other disciplines such as education or psychology or sociology, etc. And in the past, nurses completed the research-focused degree, but then remained in clinical practice or sometimes went into education to combine teaching and research. For many years, other health professions have had practice degrees. Physicians, dentists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, pharmacists are now all requiring the doctorate as entry into practice. So the DNP degree allows nurses to achieve similarity with a practice doctorate of our own. Next slide, please. In response to the needs for advanced education for nurses, the American Association of Colleges of Nursing first introduced the idea of a practice doctorate in 2004. And in 2006, they published the DNP Essentials document, which is the basis for the curriculum in all DNP programs. Currently, there are more than 202 DNP programs in the United States, and an additional 124 new programs are in the planning stage. There are DNP programs in all 50 states. So this does demonstrate how the DNP has become accepted in our profession. In this brief period of time, it really has only been 10 years since it started. You can go on the AACN website and download anything you need to know about the DNP degree. Next slide, please. We have developed an Executive Leadership DNP program, and it's done an exclusive cohort model. We have current and emerging nurse executives. Almost all of our students have supervisory oversight of what we call essential services and functions. Many of our students are line managers who have a lot of direct reports. Some of our students work in industry, biopharm, or biotech industry. Other students work as directors of quality improvement or process improvement or risk management programs. And so it's quite an eclectic curriculum, and you will find an amazing variety of leadership roles among our students. We have a lot of students in traditional roles, such as the chief nurse executive or the chief operating officer, but then we have students from consulting firms and other areas. So the variety of skills and knowledge and perspectives really does enrich the classroom and also the online discussions. And we believe that we all do learn from each other, and that includes faculty learning from students as well. And I think our student and our alum will talk about that part. Next slide, please. This slide depicts the DNP Essentials depicted by the American Association of Colleges of Nursing. And these are the foundational outcome competencies expected of all DNP graduates. And our executive leadership curriculum is based on these DNP Essentials, as well as the American Nurse Executive Guiding Principles for Executive Practice. And our courses are derived from these topics, and I think our faculty are constantly updating our courses and our curriculum to keep current with trends in the healthcare system. Next slide, please. So there really is an increasing demand for DNP graduates. I don't know if any of you belong to AO&E, but if you look at their listserv and you look at the names of the people who blog or listserv, increasingly you're seeing the title DNP attached to the names. Employers throughout the nation are trying to meet changing demands. It's so complex out there now. And nurse executives have a myriad of competing demands with the shift from volume to value, workforce trends, changes in technology, and then of course our shifts in political and legislative mandates at both state and federal levels. So there's a lot to keep up with if you're a nurse executive. And the advanced degree, I think, allows us to achieve parity with other disciplines. And the DNP degree really has increased in focus among leaders at all levels. Next slide, please. So we do have data coming out of our many research studies suggesting that the health outcomes do improve as the educational level of nurses increase. And I think as the educational level of systems leaders increases, the amount of quality that we're seeing in our healthcare systems also increases. Our graduates do report increased job opportunities and also report that the education and the mentoring they received at USF did significantly improve their practice. We like to think this mentoring continues after you leave us because our alums, I think, continue to mentor each other when they leave school. Next slide, please. This is a little bit about the program itself in details. We really value the opportunity for in-person dialogue and the cohort model, which allows for such cohesiveness among students. The intensive weekend is the perfect vehicle to allow us to have face-to-face dialogue. Students travel to San Francisco and we all stay in the hotel. Classes are held in the hotel conference rooms. Breakfast and lunch are delivered to the meeting areas. And at 5 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, we conclude with a nice glass of California wine and some appetizers. And there are a variety of restaurants. Of course, it is San Francisco, so there are a variety of restaurants within walking distance of the hotel for dinner. We end at noon on Saturday so that students can fly or drive home. The hotel is near BART, our underground or overground train system. So students who fly to San Francisco can travel from the airport using BART within a few blocks of the hotel. I should mention that we call it the intensive for a reason, and that reason is we all work very hard while there, but we also have some fun. We believe the personal experience that we have facilitates and enriches your online learning because you come to know your colleagues and your faculty well. Next slide, please. This is a little bit about the sample curriculum. These are examples of content areas in courses that we offer. We first introduce students to the fundamental resources and skills needed to progress through the program. The coursework then prepares you for the higher level evidence-based inquiry, epidemiology, project management, and other topics. And we do have small student-faculty ratios. And the peer support that you get from working closely in the classroom and online with other nurse leaders really does enhance your opportunities to grow and develop new skills throughout the program. Next slide, please. A little bit more about our program. And this is a CCNE or AACN requirement for accreditation. All DNP students must complete 1,000 clinical hours after the BSN to be awarded a DNP. So students that have a master's in nursing can transfer in your practicum hours from that degree, from your master's degree. However, a lot of our students, maybe even as much as 40 or 50% in some cohorts, have a non-nursing degree, such as an MBA or an MPH or an MHA. And those students without a nursing degree must complete the 1,000 practicum hours. However, our philosophy is that adult learning takes place best when you're actually providing the learning in a concurrent setting. So we do encourage our students to complete their practicum hours in their own place of employment on their paid time. And the philosophy behind this is if you are doing real-time work that you can control, your opportunities will be enhanced rather than having to do practicum hours in someone else's hospital on a voluntary basis. I think the projects that our DNP students do complete in their practicum work have real quality and process improvement built in. Next slide, please. The culminating capstone for the ELDNP program is an evidence-based change of practice project. And generally, our students choose a project topic in one of three areas: in quality improvement, process improvement, or regulatory compliance. And I'm quite sure that all of you are heavily involved in all three of these areas, so you could choose change of practice work in any of those areas. Workforce management is another large area that could fit for a DNP project. When you come to the program, you're assigned a faculty advisor who will work with you during the entire program so that your academic work and your practice will continually enhance each other. And we've had students complete DNP projects really at all levels and in all areas of the healthcare system. As I said before, we've had students from consulting firms, biopharm companies, technology companies, etc., a lot of informatics work, and then all the standard healthcare agencies throughout the continuum. And a few of the projects that have been done by our students are listed on these slides. Everyone, when they graduate, presents their work, and many of our students have published in journals such as JONA, Nursing Economics, Nurse Leaders, and a variety of other journals. Next slide, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Courtnay Caufield, and I am a current student in the ELDNP program. You can see my picture and my introduction here on the slide. My anticipated and expected graduation is December 2018. I'm currently the Associate Director at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in the Pediatric and PICU unit. I'm a current student of ELDNP cohort number 8. I began the program in January 2017. I'm halfway through in about 2 months, and it really feels wonderful to say that. I listened to the webinar that you're listening to about a year ago today, and after deciding to go ahead and take the jump into the program and applying, I quickly realized that life will never be the same. The knowledge that we gain every time we come to class is very practical. It's so relevant. Everything that we discuss when I do meet with my colleagues in class is something I can apply to my current job and future work. I decided to become a student ambassador for the ELDNP program because of my pride in the program and how much I value the curriculum. I did look at other programs and their curriculum, and it was very important to me if I was going to spend the time and do this degree that it was impactful from an executive leadership position and what it was going to give me outside of credentials. When I read the structure and the goals, it really is where I wanted to be, especially if you want to be relevant in the field of healthcare today and in future positions. I love the idea that it's a terminal degree, and it is fulfilling to know that this work is going towards not only my current role and future work that I will be done. And I wanted to let the students who are listening to this, future students, know that I am a full-time employee. I'm an exempt employee, like most of you probably are. I don't work 8-hour days. I work probably 12-hour days like everybody else. I have 3 kids. I have to balance work and life, but you can do it. I would give you feedback that if you are one who likes to stay busy, you can handle multiple projects at the same time and will make yourself take time for yourself and your family, you can be a success in this program. It is possible. It is intensive. The intensives are intensive, the program is intensive, but it's purposeful and it is inspiring. The cohort model was very important to me, and I value the time that I'm at school with my classmates there. Everybody has busy jobs, but we all turn off work as much as possible while you're there to focus on the work at hand. We also share the company of others that are in the same boat as you in different jobs, different organizations, and you learn so much that you can't learn through email or a phone call. We love enjoying the city of San Francisco. We love happy hour, and it is a good debriefing at the end of each day to have discussion and share commonalities. My advice to you that this program is is designed for a busy professional. It means giving up some time away. It means this is most of your vacation for 2 years, but it's well worth it. You can still have a life and get through school. It is all about scheduling and balance. There may never be a perfect time to go back to school. But if you wait, it's just like we probably tell expectant moms, you know, there's never a perfect time to plan a baby, but when you're in it, you get through it, and you'll be glad that you did. When you do take the time to join the program, just know that you will have a huge new family and new colleagues that will gain insight into things that you've gone through together that nobody else could have experienced. And it is really a lifetime relationship that I feel so close to my classmates already. I want to wish you all good luck, and if you want any more specific details, I'm happy to answer any questions. So thank you so much, and next slide.
Hi, everybody. This is Sandra Gregg, and it's such a privilege to be able to speak with each of you. As I listen to Dr. Barter and to Courtney, a lot of what I could share with you just reinforces the perspectives of the faculty, the perspectives of the people going through the program right now. And even though it's, I'm from the cohort number 4, meaning that I joined my cohort in 2014 and I graduated in 2015, even though it's been a few years, the things that I experienced a couple of years ago are still true today for the students going through the program. I just want to share with you that it was nearly 25 years since I had been in a classroom when I went back to school. And I know this is a really important decision for each of you. I really applaud you for taking the time to learn about this program, and especially to meet the faculty. They really are the heart of the program, and they're there to be your partner and your guide as you progress through the program. I know Courtney's just this fresh experience with her fresh eyes going through the program, and I have the privilege of hindsight because I can look back now and understand how the program has really influenced my practice and influenced my perspectives. I thought with the time that we have today, I'd like to just share 5 things with you that kind of help capture what I really think are exemplary ways that this program just shines, and things you might want to take in consideration as you look to how you want to position yourself in your continuing learning and growth. First of all, as Courtney has already mentioned, the cohort model is really invaluable. And we start together on day 1 and we graduate together. So the people who are in your first class are typically the people that you'll be graduating with. And that allows you to build very, very deep relationships. It's really designed to be highly engaging and highly interactive. The faculty's role is to provide the setting, the context, the content, and to facilitate the discussions. But it's really those of us in the room, we're the ones accountable to challenge ideas, to share our best practices, our knowledge, to lead small group projects and initiatives. And the groups tend to be fairly small. They tend to be, 4 to 5 people in a group. So they're really manageable, and it really allows you to not only contribute, but to get to know other people that you're working with. I know Dr. Barter had mentioned about making sure that the curriculum was updated, and that's one of the things that I found really helpful is that many of the instructors are still practicing in their field, and they are often subject matter experts for a specific course. And so they're bringing today's information, very relevant information. In fact, one of my professors would come in with fresh notes. Even her PowerPoints of yesterday weren't fresh enough. And so the faculty is very committed to making sure that that we have really the most current and most thoughtful information. And that leads to my second point, is that we really do build long-lasting both personal relationships and professional relationships. Even 2 years after graduation, I still touch base frequently with the faculty. And occasionally it's because somebody has reached out to me to be available to a student or to provide some information or expertise. But just as often, I've reached out to the faculty for guidance, for career advice, and sometimes just for some honest feedback, which I really appreciate, that we're not only colleagues and mentors, but we're grown to being friends as well, which I think is just really a gift and really invaluable. And I know I'm not alone in those experiences. And just as importantly, I've also developed really deep relationships with my classmates. Even though we're located all over the country, I don't think a month has gone by when I haven't touched base or spoken to someone. And there's a group of us who meet regularly every 3 weeks. And we're a resource to each other for work-related, initiatives. We consult with each other on approaches and resources. We share job opportunities, and we share moral support. But what's important about this is the students in this program are some of the most talented leaders in the country. And we have the opportunity to not only get to know one another as colleagues, but to get to know, one another on a personal basis as well. So that's really a gift. And I know my classmates have become very close to me, but the classmates across all the classes are also very supportive of one another. The third thing is the knowledge and the content is applicable immediately. Someone had asked me, once I graduated, what will I do differently? And the truth was, I was already different. I was able to take the learnings from each course and each session and apply it immediately. Sometimes that meant that I was able to do something new and different, and sometimes it just meant that I could ask a better question. But that just is really a testimony to the relevance of the information that we talk about and debate sometimes. And then the fourth thing is that new opportunities will open, and you will see the world differently as you progress through the program. At least 85% of my colleagues in my cohort are in new roles, and specifically because they either stepped into them because of their degrees or of their learnings. Now, my career path has been a little different, and just as it unfolded, I've had a variety of opportunities to have an array of different experiences in healthcare. But in the 2 years since I personally graduated, I've led a team across 5 states to standardize the way that we assess community health needs. I've led groups to both Mexico and Guatemala to conduct community health projects. Currently, I'm working on innovative ways to engage our community and inviting them in to improve our healthcare system. And so that, I think, is a really good example of when you're exposed to individuals who aren't in traditional career paths to understand how we can use our skills and our competencies in new and emerging roles. It's really a great way of opening up to new opportunities that we hadn't really even considered just because they weren't a typical role in our organization. And lastly, what I would like to leave with you, and I think Courtnay touched on this beautifully, you can be wildly successful in this program. Like Courtnay, I worked full-time throughout the program, and I think most of my classmates did as well. Our faculty was always there to help us. Every once in a while there's a speed bump, and you can sit down with your faculty and negotiate how do you work together to make sure that you can continue to be engaged, given that things just happen in our lives. And so the goal of this program is that, and the program is designed that everybody can be successful. We're in this together, and the general hope is that we collectively work together to elevate all of nursing. And lastly, I love nursing. I'm a nurse. I've been in the healthcare industry for a very long time, and I understand nursing is challenging today. The healthcare industry is challenging today, but I found that being in this program, I was surrounded by this amazing group of individuals who are deeply, deeply committed to nursing, and they're very hopeful about the future. I found the program just really reignited my passion for this work, and like Courtnay, I just welcome any questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer for you.
Thank you, Sandy. And now we'll talk a little bit about admissions requirements and the application process to the DNP program. These are the admissions requirements, and as you can see, we require a master's degree either in nursing or a related field like MBA, MPH, etc. The 3 letters of recommendation are very important. We do look at those fairly carefully. So select, individuals that you think reflect well on your career trajectory, etc. And of course your RN license in California or the state that you're licensed in. The statement of professional goals is really quite important. It's one of the things that we really pay a lot of attention to in the admissions committee. And generally this statement is a 2 to 3 page essay detailing why you want to come to the ELDNP program at USF and how you think this is going to enhance your leadership practice. And so we look to see that you know what you're getting into, that you've done some research on our program, on our school, and you feel that it best fits your professional goals. And it's important to be sure that your statement of professional goals is really well written and well edited before you submit it with your application. We do telephone or Zoom interviews from time to time. And you'll see that the application for this next admission cycle ends on December 15th of this year. And our next cohort begins in January of 2018. It's late January. So that's basically the requirements for admission. And we can move on to the next slide. And this is a little bit about financial aid. This slide depicts the program cost and some avenues for financial aid. There are also many other scholarships available through nursing organizations such as Sigma or AONE or ACNL. For our students that are AONE or ACNL members, we do give a $1,500 scholarship per year. So that would be $3,000 off the total for the 2-year program. And you should also consider whether this might be a benefit where you work or whether it can be built into your salary package. A lot of our nurse execs have opportunities for bonuses and et cetera, and sometimes they do negotiate tuition reimbursement for the doctoral program. So now we'll have an opportunity to answer your questions, and if you wait for just a moment, we'll have the Q&A segment up. You still have time to type your question in if you want, and we will all be happy to answer as many questions as you submit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barter. Thank you so much, Courtnay, and thank you so much, Dr. Gregg, for this information. It's really informative, covering the Doctor of Nursing Practice program and the executive leadership focus of the Doctor of Nursing Practice program here at the University of San Francisco. As Dr. Barter mentioned, please take a moment to type your questions into the control panel so that we can kind of answer those questions for you based on their specific topic. I have a couple of questions to start us off, and I'd like to pose these questions to Courtnay and Dr. Gregg. from the student perspective, can you speak to how you balanced your personal and professional responsibilities along with your coursework while in the program?
This is Sandra Gregg, and I might go first. One thing that I was able to do, which reinforces what Dr. Barter had mentioned, is I've tried to think about what I was learning and how I could connect the work that I was doing during the day with the coursework expectations. So I know that's a little bit double dipping, but assignments that I was asked to do as part of my educational process, I tried to look for what was I doing already at work and how would that fit into my normal work responsibilities, and try to use my work setting in order to meet the school requirements. The nice thing about that was everybody won. I was able to help my organization look at and complete some projects that normally I wouldn't have given attention to. And in addition to that, I was able to use some really, really, current, tools and techniques and knowledge. And my professors coached me on, oh, you didn't look at this, why not think about that? So my organization actually benefited from not only my eyes working on it, but also my professor's eyes working on a project. And I benefited from taking something I was learning and doing something very practical and real with it.
Thank you so much. Courtney, did you want to take an opportunity to answer?
I'm wondering if Courtney's still with us.
Yeah, I actually don't see her name. This is Dr. Barter speaking, Marjorie Barter. Perhaps we could move on to the next question and see if she's able to rejoin us. I believe she might be at work right now.
Absolutely. So we have a question from an attendee. Aside from the on-site weekend classes, what type of online time requirement is required for attendance and participation?
Sandy, maybe you can answer that, and then I will give a faculty view, but I think it comes best from someone that's been a student.
Right. I found that there's two bodies of work that happen outside of the classroom. The first body is assigned readings and research. So I would say that's independent work, and it's really one of the things that among my colleagues, we found some people were really experts in some courses, and some people had, it was a new area for them, so they spent more time reading all the content completely. I tended to be one of the people who read everything. I just took advantage of this incredible time in my life and wanted to absorb all the information. So I spent probably at least 10 hours a week learning about new information, studying information. The second body of work that we had to do was really around online work in small group work, small group initiatives that we worked together. And that probably was another 10 hours a week, to be honest, between calls among our small group partners and working on the deliverables or the assignments I was responsible for towards the group project. So in total, I know that it was probably about 20 hours a week. But I was definitely one that I read every piece of paper and really took advantage and spent a lot of time learning about the subject and really thinking about them.
Yes, Sandy, I can remember you well, and I know that you did, and it was valuable, not only to you, but to your input into the class discussions, and we did appreciate that a great deal. I'd just like to say I got an email from Courtnay. She says she was called to the command center for the Joint Commission report, and had to step out. And I'm sure everyone that's on the webinar can appreciate that situation. They did have Joint Commission at Cedars-Sinai this week. So there was a question from an attendee about the national exam for the EL-DNP. We do have a requirement that students become nationally certified before they leave the program. And we have a number of options for them. The AONE certification for executive nursing practice, or the ANA certification. We also have a number of others. There's a financial certification that people can get, and there are other certifications that people have by virtue of the fact that they are a nurse practitioner or something along that line. We have some nurse practitioners that come into the program who are at executive level positions. So that that's built into the program, and that is we feel it's important for people at the executive level to have executive level certification. And then the capstone project is the final project. We call it the comprehensive change of practice project, and that happens in the final semester of the program. There's a residency and then a concurrent 1-unit didactic course in which you write your comprehensive project, which is the culmination of the work that you've done in the program. I hope that answers your question. Sandy, I can talk a little bit about the hours transferred from the MSN program, Dr. Gregg, and maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about the 1,000 practicum hours and some of the things that you did in your practicum. So I will just say first that when you come into the EL program, we look at your MSN transcripts, and we give you credit for those practicum courses. And there's a conversion rate that all schools use. If it's a 1-unit course for the semester, college is 45 hours. Quarters are a little bit lower, but we calculate that. And in the very beginning, we tell you how many hours you have to do. Everyone does a minimum of 500 hours, but many people do the full 1,000 because they have a degree other than nursing. And I'll let Dr. Gregg talk a little bit about how the 1,000 practicum hours are accomplished.
Yeah, what I did with my summer vacation. One of the things that I had the privilege, I also have a MSN, and so I had a few credits applied towards that 1,000-hour requirement. So I think I was just a little over 600 hours that I was responsible for. And I actually had a variety of I used that in a variety of different ways. The 1,000 hours or the 600 hours, whatever the number is applied across the entire program. So over a 2-year period, just to kind of put it in a context for you, that it isn't, in a certain quarter, because I know that may sound overwhelming. I started with taking some time and doing some research in my own organization, understanding the dynamics within the organization, and really doing an organizational assessment in order to not only help my advisor understand what kind of environment I was practicing in, but also it was a great learning for me. I've been with Providence 27 years, and I've worked in many parts of it. And I found there were parts of the organization that I really didn't understand how they function, and it was just a great way to really find new opportunities to work with some of my colleagues. So that was a great experience, and that was kind of a foundational body of work to really understand the organization I work in and the work that I do in it. And then from then, my passion was really around population health. My project was how to use a population health approach to improve community health improvement. And I focused my work on a couple of different areas. Those projects that either helped me to expand my knowledge in those areas, to gain deeper understanding of that, which then informed the way I designed my project, or it was something that my advisor really encouraged me to look at, so that I would be enriching my own current knowledge base or skills for the future. And so I looked at this opportunity as, when I graduated, and I was very intentional that I was giving myself permission to take 2 years out of my life and think about, what is the next body of work that I want to spend my time in? What really excites me? And I know that the world of population health is still new, it's going to unfold, and I wanted to really focus on that for the future. So I worked with my advisor to think about what are the activities I can do outside of the classroom to either support what I already know about population health, or to help myself develop as a nurse leader. What are the things I could be doing today so that when I graduate, I'll have new skills and competencies that I wouldn't have had. And then the other thing that I would include in this, and Dr. Barter just mentioned about the advanced degree requirements, or the certification requirements, excuse me. I chose to do my certification in the finance area because I really think in nursing, especially in nursing leadership, that we have to have a strong voice at the table. And while I have some experience in finance, I really felt focusing on that area would really position me so that I had the same language as my finance officers, that I could be articulating my needs and support the work that I was doing in the same way that my business colleagues were supporting themselves. And so I pursued the certification in finance, and that counted as part of my practicum hours.
Thank you, Dr. Gregg. Yeah, and I just mentioned a couple of more project topics so that I remember from current year or past years. One of our students was a director of intensive care units, and her hospital had to build an entirely new intensive care suite in another wing of the hospital. And so this student actually worked with the architect and helped design the new ICU, reviewed and purchased new equipment, communications equipment, technical equipment, etc., and then oversaw the actual remodeling of this other wing of the building, and moved the ICU for the 5th semester of her program. And that was her project, but it actually took 2 years. And all during the planning, etc., she was doing evaluation measures that related to patient safety, particularly during the move and immediately thereafter. Another student used a group of brand new graduates to train her experienced nurses in a brand new electronic health record. So the new graduates came directly from school, and their first 6 months they were training nurses on the units how to use the new electronic health record. Then they paired with those same nurses and became RN trainees in the novice nurse program, the residency program. So it was a year-long program for these new graduates, but they had a very interesting role, and by the time they switched to their new graduate work, they were well known to the unit and the other nurses, and they were seen as a valuable part of the team. Another student did a project in a hospice setting. So we have projects going on all over the place, and they're very, very interesting.
And the one thing that, well, I would just add to your first story about the project about the moving the ICU. I know part of the practicum that she did was to write a grant. And
yes.
She was actually awarded that grant ended up generating $300,000 towards her project. So not only did she learn how to write a grant, but it also was a huge gift to the organization. And in recognition of that work and that contribution, the organization gave her a gift towards her tuition. So what a perfect example of of the work that we're asked to do, how it brings value to our organization and how meaningful it is to them.
Exactly. And in addition to that wonderful thing, she was on in the local newspaper and on local television, etc., in recognition for what she had done. So, okay, are there final questions from our attendees?
We do have another question here about if there is an extension option available if needed longer than 2 years, and how does this affect the cohorts in classroom sessions?
This does happen, and we have it happen more, at least once a year. Someone, for whatever reason, needs to step out for a while. It could be a family illness or a change in jobs or many things. And we work with those people to find a way to allow them to step out and then step back in again. Life happens. So yes, that it happens at least once a year probably. I think the cohorts would miss the person who steps out for a while, because then usually they come back in the cohort for the following year. But we haven't really lost anyone. They almost always come back, and the ones that we've had take leaves have had really important life reasons why that had to happen.
Thank you for that. I have one question to ask of you, Dr. Barter, as we're wrapping up. So if there are any other questions, I encourage you to type them in so that we can definitely take advantage of this opportunity to get them answered. And while we wait, can you speak to, Dr. Barter, can you speak to the uniqueness of the ELDNP program as it relates to the university's Jesuit values?
Oh, absolutely. I think, and we alluded to it a little bit in one of the earlier slides, one of the Jesuit values, of course, is social justice, and particularly with vulnerable populations. And what more vulnerable population do we have than almost anybody, any patient, client, or anyone accessing the healthcare system, particularly these days. So I think the social justice value is very important. And one of our university prime missions is a sort of exemplified in our motto, change the world from here. I think that if we're applying our nursing views to our world, which is the healthcare system, it really needs change. And who better to do that than highly educated, highly skilled nursing leaders to provide a safer, more equitable, and more cost-effective healthcare system. So I think in many ways, the School of Nursing and Health Professions best exemplifies the Jesuit mission on our campus.
Thank you so much for that. I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Barter for your insight and your time, and I also would like to thank Courtney in her absence, and you, Dr. Gregg, for just providing some really deep information about your experience in the program. Thank you so much, and your experiences as a nursing leader. If you have additional questions, you can reach out to the individuals listed on this slide here. If you have application-specific questions, we ask that you reach out to our admissions team. And if you have generalized program questions, you can reach out to our graduate enrollment manager, Carolyn Arroyo, or Dr. Barter, who is here today, and her email is listed there as well. As she mentioned at the top of the webinar, we will reach out to you all in about 72 hours with a copy of this webinar, so you can also take the information down, and we'll be in contact with each of you in the future as well. Again, we want to thank you for your time today, and we hope that you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Sandy. It was so nice to talk to you.
Always. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.